I don't know about you, but I grew up with South Park, and nothing in their sights has ever been sacred. And they do have this, in my view, perfectly irreverent way of reading the room. This week they've taken a swipe at Harry and Meghan, and it's gone viral.
We want privacy! We want privacy! Thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it.
Parliament has reportedly unleashed a damning review into Meghan Markle's spending, and what they uncovered hit like a bombshell. We're talking about a financial scandal wrapped in royal titles and hidden behind palace walls. According to leaked findings, Meghan may have continued receiving taxpayer-funded perks long after she and Harry stepped away from official royal duties. And not just once or twice. Allegedly, this was happening quietly, repeatedly, and without public awareness. Let's be crystal clear, when Meghan and Harry left their roles, they weren't just stepping back from ribbon cuttings and photo ops, they were stepping out of the financial umbrella that comes with being a working royal, or at least that's what the public was told. But now, the report suggests something entirely different, that Meghan, despite walking away, supposedly kept tapping into the very system she claimed to reject.
Funny, I actually watched the entire episode and I was howling laughing. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I think it really encapsulates how many Americans are feeling. The episode was very clever in the sense that they call them
She spreads her legs, she hikes her dress, she circles her genitals.
In the time since, in the years since, they've done everything to prove the opposite. You know, they can't seem to get enough of media attention. I don't think people understand even Harry's book that's been released is part of a multi-book deal, right? You know, how many people leave their family and record themselves on the plane the entire...
What matters is what we have on the inside.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
Security, covered, travel, questionable, private engagements, supposedly protected under the taxpayer dime. And this isn't just a few £1,000s in dispute. If these reports hold weight, this could total into the millions. The kind of misuse that sparks national outrage, not just tabloid gossip. And yet, this didn't hit the headlines right away. It built up behind the scenes, quiet inquiries, leaked memos, questions whispered in the Commons, and then, finally, it erupted. The public found out, Parliament found fire, and Meghan reportedly blindsided. Because when the public learns that someone who rejected the royal spotlight is still living off its privileges, that's the kind of contradiction that sets Westminster on fire. But this was just the first crack in the foundation.
Hello all, sorry we're late, our flight was delayed.
It was mint though. Tell them we were in mint.
They gave you a mint. How lovely. I have some gum in my purse if you'd like.
Oh, we were in mint. It's like their business class. It's really nice. And
Meghan, I'm begging you to stop now.
The second the findings were shared behind closed doors, reports say Meghan lost it. This wasn't a calm denial or a poised PR response. This supposedly was panic. According to palace insiders, she immediately got on the phone, firing off calls to key staff, media allies, and legal advisors. The tone, frantic. The energy, desperate. Imagine the behind-the-scenes chaos. Late-night meetings in Montecito, confidential Zoom calls with PR teams, messages flying back and forth between handlers and lawyers. Meghan reportedly wasn't just upset, she was enraged, not just at the leak, but at the fact that she wasn't ahead of it.
But as you say, the main headlines really were grabbed by this £2.4 million spending on Frogmore Cottage.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK, which is unresolved. You know, NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
It's so funny too that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now. So much fun.
You and I are so similar. You and I.
With your guests, when was the last time you were surprised and delighted?
Last night. And also this morning, but last night when I went back to my hotel, and then you put your thumbprint in, which is what makes it a fun group activity, and you could fill it with jam, you could do chocolate, anything you like, of course.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop, and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That is
still
not
being
what
a
happens to
mom.
her.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, you're right. This is to do with the Royal Foundation. This is like an umbrella organisation where last February, we saw the first annual meeting. It was dubbed the Fab Four because for the first time we had Harry and Meghan on stage, Kate and William on stage.
There's a real delight in being able to be a present parent, and it's a luxury sometimes because we all have to work. We all have a lot of stuff to do, but when you can take a minute to just...
Saturday morning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I work so hard.
According to multiple sources, Meghan had always prided herself on staying one step ahead of the press. But this story didn't come from a tabloid or a disgruntled staffer. It came from the very institution she tried to leave behind, Parliament. Doesn't leak lightly, so when the news broke, it was already too late for spin. That's why reports say the strategy shifted into overdrive. Allegedly, she began preparing a counter-narrative, something sympathetic, something distracting. Maybe another docuseries, maybe another interview, but behind the polished surface, the panic was reportedly real. The pressure wasn't just public, it was deeply personal, because if this narrative sticks, it doesn't just make Meghan look privileged, it makes her look deceptive, and that's a much harder image to scrub clean. Meanwhile, the paper trail was already being pieced together.
Wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles.
Zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. That is a title that was stripped from her when she and Harry made their whole racism debacle and left the UK, left their royal duties, and moved to the US to bug all of us.
For many people, the Frogmore Cottage repayment marked the end of the financial drama. Meghan and Harry had used $2.4 million of public money to renovate the home, and after stepping back, they repaid it. That gesture was supposed to settle the debt. Case closed, right? Not even close. According to new reports, that reimbursement was just the beginning. Investigators reviewing the timeline and financial records now suggest the Frogmore payment may have been a distraction from far bigger spending issues. Security details, travel arrangements, personal aids, these weren't covered in the publicized payback. And yet, sources claim they continued to be funded, directly or indirectly, by the UK taxpayer. That raises the question, what else did we miss? Some insiders reportedly believe that Meghan's team exploited loopholes. For example, security provided in the interest of public safety rather than for the royal household. Travel, labeled semi-official. Private engagements categorized as diplomatic appearances. All these designations could justify taxpayer spending under certain circumstances. But Meghan wasn't a working royal anymore. She wasn't attending events on behalf of the crown, so why was anything still being funded?
People wondering whether £2.4 million is a lot of money to spend on one dwelling. We should say that the palace were keen to point out that the expensive fixtures and fittings, sort of personal touches, would have been paid for by Harry and Meghan.
Hey, lowly cameraman, come over here and try some fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. Try the fried chicken. We need to make it look like I actually care about my camera crew. Come get some fried chicken. Act like you're having fun. Act like you're having fun.
This woman is a born manipulator. The Netflix thing, she doesn't do the work. She don't make the jams. It's all made for her.
And if the public didn't know, was someone keeping it quiet? This is what Parliament wanted answers to. The Frogmore check may have been symbolic, but the real question is, what financial strings were still attached after it cleared? That's what triggered the next wave of pressure. Parliament wasn't about to let this one go unnoticed, and then Parliament made their next move. This is where the entire story blew wide open. The moment Parliament started tracing the security bills, the real outrage began. Reports claim that protection units, funded by UK taxpayers, were still being deployed during Meghan's private visits. Not public appearances, not royal events, private trips, private stops, even allegedly vacations. Now under royal protocol, once you step back from your duties, you lose that protection. It's reserved for working members of the monarchy, but reportedly Meghan was still flanked by high-end protection officers. We're not talking one guy in a rental car, we're talking full teams, bulletproof vehicles, coordinated escorts, all on the public dime. The explanation? Vague. The justification? Weak. Supposedly it was in the interest of public safety. But public safety from what? From walking through Heathrow like a normal person. From shopping in Kensington without a convoy. If the average Brit can do it, why couldn't Meghan? And let's be honest, these protection details aren't cheap. We're talking tens of thousands per visit, possibly more. All of it quietly buried in expenses until someone finally asked, who's footing the bill? That's when Parliament got loud. and angry, because if Meghan was choosing to step back, to live privately, to reject the crown's responsibilities, then what business did she have soaking up its protections? That triggered a political reaction no one saw coming. The fury wasn't just whispered in corridors anymore. It was written into motions, filed, signed, and officially brought to the floor. Members of Parliament reportedly called for a tightening of royal spending, specifically around those who are no longer working royals but continue to receive special treatment. At the center of that storm, Meghan. According to reports, multiple MPs began questioning why she still holds the Duchess of Sussex title, not just symbolically but practically, because that title, whether she uses it on paper or not, comes with automatic assumptions of status, privilege, and entitlement. And when the public finds out that title might be tied to spending taxpayer money, that's when it stops being ceremonial. That's when it starts being political. Some lawmakers are supposedly pushing to strip her of the title completely, not out of spite, but as a necessary distinction between those who serve and those who step away, between those who carry the weight of duty and those who cash in on its perks without showing up. And let's be real, this isn't just about titles, it's about public trust. It's about the credibility of the monarchy, because if people start to believe that royal status can be gamed, even monetized, it could shake the whole foundation. But even the royals seem to be losing patience. According to palace insiders, the mood behind the gates has shifted. The queen may be gone, but her legacy of discretion and dignity still looms large. And when it comes to Meghan, the current sentiment is reportedly cold, calculated, and intentional. Sources say senior royals have stopped defending her behind closed doors. No more pushing back against press stories, no more quietly briefing reporters with kinder interpretations. The message now? Silence. Strategic, brutal silence. The phrase, "let her deal with it," has supposedly made its rounds within palace circles, and that silence speaks volumes, because this isn't just about protecting the institution, it's about avoiding further damage. The firm has endured centuries of scandal, but even they know when to cut the cord. And if the reports are accurate, they've decided Meghan's media fires aren't worth extinguishing anymore. She's on her own, and maybe that's what she wanted: independence, autonomy. But with that independence comes consequences. When things go wrong, when questions arise, when Parliament comes knocking, there's no cavalry coming. And Meghan's team, they weren't staying silent. The silence from the royals was one thing, but Meghan's team, they reportedly did the exact opposite. According to sources close to the situation, a full-blown PR campaign was immediately put into motion. Strategic talking points were allegedly drafted, distributed, and delivered to friendly outlets. The goal: reframe the entire story. Instead of taxpayer abuse, the angle became safety. Instead of entitlement, it became vulnerability. They spun the narrative hard. Meghan is a public figure, a mother, a woman who's received threats. Therefore, protection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And if that protection happens to be paid for by taxpayers, so be it. After all, wouldn't the public rather be safe than sorry? That messaging showed up everywhere. Opinion columns, anonymous quotes, even soft interviews with commentators. But Parliament wasn't buying it, because this wasn't just about danger, it was about fairness, about principle, about drawing a line between what's needed and what's exploited. And according to reports, the spin only made MPs angrier. It made them feel manipulated, like they were being gaslit by a media-savvy team that thought emotional appeals could override financial accountability, but that wasn't the message Parliament was receiving. This is where the internal chaos started spilling into the public eye. Leaked emails, confidential memos, documented conversations that, frankly, no one was supposed to see. And according to reports, those leaks didn't just confirm suspicions, they poured gasoline on the fire. One internal memo reportedly circulating within a royal finance subcommittee allegedly listed Meghan's name next to several line items labeled security expenses. The kicker? These were reportedly tied to private events, some of them social, some allegedly classified as personal errands, not royal engagements, not state functions, just regular outings tagged with a security bill covered by the taxpayer. Another leaked document reportedly included correspondence between senior aides and government advisors questioning how long this special exception had been allowed to continue. According to one line, a staffer asked point blank, "Have we verified that this is still justified post-departure?" These weren't anonymous rumors. These were documented exchanges, words on official letterhead pulled straight from internal discussions. And the leaks didn't stop with one memo. Over the following days, more internal fragments surfaced online, showing what appears to be growing unease from those inside the system who didn't want to be complicit anymore. That's when Parliament stepped in harder. Reports say lawmakers demanded a full audit of every security bill and travel expense tied to Meghan since her departure from royal life. And not just in the UK, calls supposedly went out for coordination with foreign partners to track any taxpayer-supported protection used abroad. The message was clear: no more half-truths, no more vague explanations. People wanted numbers, dates, signatures, and most of all, accountability. Then came the possible endgame. When a scandal reaches a certain temperature, people stop talking about damage control and start talking about consequences. And in this case, the consequences could be historic. Reports out of Westminster now claim that MPs are actively exploring the possibility of stripping Meghan of her Duchess title. This isn't just symbolic, it's strategic, because titles in Britain mean more than just status. They come with perceived legitimacy, implicit respect, and in many cases privileges that extend beyond social niceties. The argument making its way through Parliament is simple. If Meghan has chosen to abandon her duties, live independently, and step outside the institution, then why should she retain the institution's badge of honor? One MP reportedly stated, "You can't demand privacy, claim independence, and still use the Crown's umbrella when convenient." That sentiment is spreading fast. This isn't about punishing Meghan for leaving, it's about setting boundaries for what leaving truly means. If you reject the system, you don't get to cherry pick the benefits. Even allies of the royal family, people who were once hesitant to weigh in, are now reportedly softening their stance. A growing number of voices across political lines are starting to agree removing the title wouldn't be personal, it would be procedural. A necessary move to reinforce the separation between the institution and the individual. And if Parliament pushes that through, it would be a major moment in modern royal history. Titles rarely get revoked, but when public trust is on the line, especially with taxpayer money involved, it becomes more than possible. It becomes probable. But this entire scandal didn't just stay in Parliament. While Parliament debated and insiders leaked, the internet absolutely exploded. The story spread like wildfire, faster than any royal wedding, faster than any Oprah interview. And this time, the conversation wasn't split. It was brutal Reddit. Threads racked up thousands of comments within hours. Hashtags like "Nari Taxpayer Duchess" and "Revoke the Title" started trending across Twitter. YouTube exploded with breakdown videos and deep dives. Pundits called it a scandal for the ages, and they weren't wrong. This wasn't just about Meghan, this was about how modern institutions handle accountability. And according to public reaction, not very well. People wanted to know how long this had been going on, how many taxpayer pounds had been spent without scrutiny, how much had been covered up, and how could someone who left royal life still get royal perks? Even former supporters, people who defended Meghan for years, reportedly began to pull back. One viral video on TikTok showed a side-by-side of Meghan's statements about privacy and independence next to leaked headlines about taxpayer-funded protection. The caption, "So which is it?" Across comment sections, you could feel the tide turning. Sympathy was being replaced with skepticism, admiration with anger. People didn't just want apologies, they wanted action, and the real question hanging over all of it, louder than ever, was simple. What happens next? So what does this mean for Meghan's future? Here's the bottom line. Parliament's reported review might just be the beginning. Meghan allegedly lost it. Royal silence speaks deafening volumes, and public trust is fraying. Whether titled or not, this scandal lands a heavy blow. UK taxpayers are watching, Westminster is monitoring. And the question hanging in the air, has Meghan used public funds to secure private privilege? And can she ever fully wash this off? This isn't just a rumor, it's reportedly a game changer. And no matter how tight the spin, once taxpayer money is involved, the fallout never fully disappears.